conference for the ITB of HHAP and ESG. And we're with the County of Riverside Department of Housing and Workforce Solutions, the Continuum of Care Division. Next slide. And just some housekeeping. This meeting and this presentation will be recorded, and we will be uploading it to our COC website. And we do ask that if you could mute your microphones during the meeting so that everyone can hear effectively. If you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself, but just so we can all listen in and not get interrupted. And thank you, Jamie, for starting the recording.
Sure.
Alrighty, so my name is Mireya Orozco. I'm a program specialist with the Department of Housing and Workforce Solution within the Continuum of Care Division. I will be leading this meeting, and if we could have people from our team jump in and introduce themselves as well. I'll popcorn it to Jamie.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jamie Goodner. I'm a senior program specialist here with the Continuum of Care and providing support to Mireya and the team for this presentation. Carlos.
Hi, good morning. My name is Carlos Guerra. I'm with the fiscal team, so I'm here just to support my program team. So if you have any fiscal question, I'm here to answer those questions. So thank you. Who else from our group is here?
Damaris.
Hi, good morning. My name is Damaris Martinez. I'm also a program specialist, listening in to the information as well.
Alrighty, thank you. And just for the people that are hopping into the meeting, if you could please sign in by entering your full name, your position, organization, and email address in the chat box during the webinar, that would be greatly appreciated. Alrighty, so here's the agenda for today. We will be going over the BOG funding principles, the funding source, the objectives, the funding that's available, activities that are eligible for this ITB, important timelines and dates, the evaluation process, the checklist for the ITB, make sure you have everything submitted, the cost proposal and budget narrative, the state of California funding process, and then at the end, we'll have some time for Q&As. So this pre-bid conference is non-mandatory for agencies to submit proposals for the ESG and HAP funding, but we do ask that a representative from your agency signs in, even if you haven't decided about submitting a proposal just yet. We do have the ITB posted now on our website, along with the public purchasing website, along with the terms and conditions. We also have the question and answers posted on our website as well. And we also do have an amendment posted. I believe it was posted this morning, but I'll go into that in further detail towards the end. Alrighty, so let's get started. So I'll first discuss a bit about the Board of Governance and their funding principles. Alrighty. So the Riverside County's Continuum of Care Board of Governance established funding principles that will guide and prioritize grant allocation for homeless programs. So they invest in programs that will immediately impact reduction of homeless youth, individuals and families, or prevent them from becoming homeless. They also invest in programs that demonstrate ongoing, long-term, or sustainable results. And it's also important to invest in programs addressing significant service gaps by targeting high-need communities, underserved or hard-to-serve geographic special subpopulations. And they also want to invest in programs that emphasize a comprehensive service delivery approach or wraparound services to ensure successful housing and self-sufficiency outcomes. Invest in solutions to address the unique needs of homeless individuals living in encampments, and also investing in programs that support the Riverside County's action plan, emphasizing the expansion on the system coordination, the housing resources, outreach, navigation, and supportive services. Alrighty, so next we'll go over the ESG and HHAP funding that's available. So the California Department of Housing and Community Development, known as the HCD, implemented the ESG grant, so the Emergency Solutions Grant, to address homelessness crisis throughout California. So the ESG program provides funds for rental assistance and rapid rehousing services to support individuals or families who are homeless, move into a more stable position and lead to permanent housing. So this can involve housing identification, rental assistance, and supportive services. And then with HHAP, which is the Homeless Housing Assistance and Prevention Grant. It provides support to local jurisdictions to continue to build on regional collaboration developed through previous rounds of Cal ICH funding, and to provide flexible funding to continue the efforts to end and prevent homelessness. So again, rapid rehousing and rental assistance. HAP is authorized by Assembly Bill 101. Which was assigned into law by Governor Newsom in July of 2019. So the objective of this is to partner with Riverside County's COC to identify any existing qualified organizations that can provide these rapid rehousing rental assistance services and activities. The recipients would be a nonprofit or government agency that has the administrative and financial capacity to provide these homeless services. So they must demonstrate both a need for a project and having an immediate impact in addressing and supporting persons experiencing homelessness by the end of the period of performance. And so this is the funding that's available. So again, it's with ESG and HHAP. So for ESG, it's $299,499. And with HAP round 3, it's $237,712.30. And so with this funding, it requires expending funds on evidence-based solutions that prevent, reduce, and end homelessness. So recipients shall not use this program funding to supplant existing local funds for homeless housing assistance or prevention, and funds must be expended in compliance with housing first requirements per Health and Safety Code section 50220.5. Programs must provide housing first services that are low barrier, trauma informed, culturally responsive, and housing first oriented. However, if funds previously supporting a service or project end or are reduced for reasons beyond the control of the grantee, and services or housing capacity will be lost because of these funds ending, HAP program funds may be used to maintain the service or programs that are not considered supplanting. Okay. And so the Housing and Workforce Solution, COC, will provide ongoing program monitoring and technical assistance to ensure that the programs are achieving these milestones. There are different measures that we look at to ensure the effectiveness of the program. So it's having a certain number of unsheltered homeless persons served, number of program participants with an increase in total income from all sources at program exit, number of program participants with an increase in employment income at program exit, the number of program participants that achieve housing stability at program exit. So these numbers can vary just depending on the program and the size. And so the period of performance for this is 12 months. So this is the state and federal spending requirements for this ITB. Alrighty, so next we will go over the timeline and important dates along with the evaluation process. So the release of the ITB was on February 9th. We also had a deadline for individuals submit questions to our COC email. And those questions have now been posted and are available on our website. It's posted on February 15th. Today is the non-mandatory pre-bid meeting. And we do have a deadline for the bids by next week, so February 28th, and the time is 5 p.m. So on or before 5 p.m., and we do ask that you email the bid to our COC email, thecoc@rivco.org. And we do also ask to include the ITB number. So that's COARC 0020. And it will also take approximately 60 to 120 days for the awarding of the ITB. So the County of Riverside does expect to have the contractors in place by then.
And just as a friendly reminder, I know we have the information on each of the slides, but I'm seeing a few more individuals hop on the call, which is great. If you would not mind, for attendance purposes, so we can see which agencies have attended, if you could please put your name, your agency, and email address in the chat for us, we would appreciate it.
Thank you, Amy, for the reminder.
Sure.
Okay, so for the evaluation process, bid proposals will be evaluated based on criteria determined to be appropriate by the county, which may include but not necessarily limited to the following. So the responsiveness to attachment A for the COARC 0020 bidder proposal response, the bidder's experience and ability, the technical capability and project methodology, the cost effectiveness of the proposal. The continuum of care will review and rank applications locally. So any member of the COC who is making an application or is affiliated with an organization that is making an application, they will not be able to participate in the ranking process or otherwise influence those that are ranking the applications. So applications will be reviewed in the following areas. So the first one is the eligibility of proposed activity, applicant eligibility, applicant spending history on current homeless assistance grants, if it's applicable, eligibility of the population to be served, the capacity of the project sponsor to perform as proposed, including progress data related to any current or prior COC project, leveraging of other resources, participation within the COC. Next slide. Applicants will be notified of the review results via email upon approval of the COC Board of Governance 30 days from the review date. All bids will be given thorough review. All contacts during bidding process and review selection phase must contact the Housing and Workforce Solutions. Attempts by the contractor to contact any other county representative may result in disqualification of the contractor. All evaluation material will be considered confidential and not released by the county. The county reserves the right to split or make the award that is most advantageous to the county. So late bids will not be accepted. So make sure you submit it by next week before 5. We also will not be accepting any faxed bids. So make sure you have that COC email saved. Next slide. So you must submit one complete project proposal consistent with the eligible activities, which is rapid rehousing and rental assistance. Bidders shall address all sections listed in the scope of services, providing a complete and concise response. So this is a checklist for the scope of services. This is all in the ITB as well. So there's the bid checklist, the cover page, the company profile / experience, acknowledgements, scope of services, references, credentials, resumes, certifications / licenses, and at the end you can attach more information. So the cost proposal and budget narrative. So eligible budget uses are listed on tab I, which is the cost proposal and budget narrative. Complete the table in tab I for each type of cost that you are requesting. So line items must be all inclusive. So for this example on C1, you see that it says engagement supplies. So here would be, since it is rental assistance and rapid rehousing, you would include like deposits or application fees. So cost should reflect expenditures for the full term of the contract. And then we do also ask that you submit the or provide the annual per person / household costs and provide or attach any additional budget narrative if it does not fit. Please provide sufficient detail so that it showcases all the costs and necessary for the program. So this is just one example of what's on the ITB of what is your annual per person cost for those served for this proposal. So just be some calculations for that. So project match and funding advancements. So there is no match for HAP funding, but with ESG, there is a 100% match on a dollar for dollar basis. And this is kind of like a big picture overview of what the process is like for us. So the administrative with the state of California. So the administrative entity, which is us, the Housing and Workforce Solutions, we apply for the funding on behalf of the Riverside County Continuum of Care. So the state then issues the standard agreement to the Housing and Workforce Solutions. And so the funds are then dispersed directly to the HWS. The Housing and Workforce Solution then contracts with subrecipients. And so that's when you start submitting your proposals. And so the expenditure deadline does vary by program. Okay, and then we'll have more information related to the ITB and questions that we'll be going over. So this is the addendum that was posted this morning. So the addendum states that that there was a change to the ITB. The addendum is intended to provide additional information and or to change requirements in the above reference ITB. Any information contained herein will be considered part of the ITB and as such will be used in the evaluation of the bid responses. So if you have already submitted your proposal prior to the bid closing date, please review this addendum and resubmit your bid response should this addendum modify your initial bid response. So for the Q&A for ITB, That I believe has been posted, and the ITP specifications on page 13 void all street outreach language and replace with rapid rehousing language. So it previously had street outreach in the ITB, so that has been completely removed, and it's all strictly rapid rehousing and rental assistance. So activities listed under this ITB have been modified and now only include rapid rehousing activities. And then there was also a correction with the ITB terms and conditions form. So the bid proposal shall be submitted to the COC email, which is coc@rivco.org, and Amy Primrose's email, which is aprimrose@rivco.org, again by 5 p.m. PST next week. So to verify that all vendors have received a copy of this addendum, please sign the cover page of this addendum and return it with your proposal. So this addendum must be signed by all bidders and submit it with your proposal. Again, this is also available on our website now, but if you do need a copy of it, feel free to email any of us for it. And so again, there's two different, well, now there's more than two documents since we made that change with the addendum, but there's the terms and conditions document and then the invitation to bid, which I'm sure you've all kind of gone through already. So this invitation to bid and any ensuing addendums are available at the following links. So you could access it at our COC website, or it's also made available at the public purchase website. And so before we begin with Q&As, I also want to go over frequently asked questions. Some of these questions may also look familiar to you. They were the ones that were also posted on our website. But I think it's also important to go over it again. So is match required for this ITB? So again, ESG requires a 100% match. HAP does not. Who can apply? So nonprofits and government agencies can apply. So the objective is to partner with the Riverside County Continuum of Care to identify existing qualified organizations that are available to provide rapid rehousing services and activities. How do we apply? So you submit the proposals with the addendum included, and you submit it to the COC email, and also include the A Primrose email. So can a proposal for a specific population be submitted? Yes, rapid rehousing proposals for specific populations will be considered. The most competitive proposals must demonstrate both a need for the project with data supported by the 2022 Riverside County point-in-time count and demonstrate that the project will have an immediate impact in addressing homelessness in Riverside County by the end of period of performance. Could you please confirm if it is expected that the contracting entity will service all Riverside County, or would proposals serving pockets of the county be considered? So proposals for all geographic regions of Riverside County will be considered, but full county coverage is the main goal. So in that case, more than one provider may be awarded to accomplish the coverage of the whole county. My organization currently receives funding through a HWS EOC DV Rapid Rehousing Program. Would we still be able to bid to provide more general rapid rehousing services to members of our community? So yes, you are still eligible to apply for this bid. Could our street outreach contractor be our subrecipient like other grants? So yes, the objective is to partner with the Riverside County Continuum of Care to identify existing qualified organizations that are able and available to provide rapid rehousing and rental assistance activities. Alrighty, so we also want to give enough time if anyone has any questions. Either feel free to unmute yourself or enter in the chat.
Mireya, there is a question from Jasmine. She asks for HAP. Could agencies, if awarded, add it to existing funding? So I think, Jasmine, you may be talking about possible supplanting if it's existing funding. Supplanting would not be allowable. However, for HAP, you would be able to use the funding to continue a project that may be ending, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. If not, you can put more info in the chat and I can talk more about that. Allison, you had your hand up. Thank you, Jasmine.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry if I missed this before, but I'm just curious of how the county will be making a determination of which project proposals will be funded through ESG funding and which will be funded through HAP funding. And a follow-up to that is, has the county considered doing a braided contract where the HAP funds are the matching resource to the ESG funds?
I do not have details to the second part of your question. First part of the question is we definitely look at wanting to cover the geographical area and staying in line like with our funding principles that we kind of go by through the Board of Governance, which is in our presentation, and our presentation will be posted to our website as well. But there are a series of questions that we look at, and then of course we're looking at the overall agency as a whole, their history, and partnership with the continuum of care.
So there's no particular formula then that you're using to determine how the ESG versus HAP funds are getting spent down, or is there consideration there?
Maybe could you elaborate a little bit on the formula that you're referring to?
Well, I guess you have a bucket of funding, right? And it's derived of state funding and federal funding, right? ESG and HAP. And I was just curious of, how you'll make a determination of all of the proposals that you receive of, if you reward multiple projects, which it mentioned in the FAQ that you might, how you would split up those two funding sources to the various different projects. Especially with the ESG having a match requirement, I was just curious of how that would work out for the awarded projects.
Allison, if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to put my email in the chat box. I think that there would be more information than what I can share, that I can help answer that more in detail, and then we can post that information. I can email that back to you if that's okay.
That sounds great. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks,
And
Allison.
I do want to add, Jamie, that as far as like the ESG aspect of matching, if a agency is going to be awarded, the HWS will be reaching out to that agency and discuss more about that match aspect. So it's once a agency is selected to move forward.
Yeah.
And then
I think we have another raise hand, Denise.
Yes, hi. I'm Denise Mewborn from Starting Over Inc. And I have a question about, it starts on page 15 of the ITB, the general service requirements. I understand from the addendum that we should consider there to be a language change around, from street outreach to rapid rehousing and rental assistance. And that, I think that mentioned page 13, but the general service requirements starting on page 15 really seem to me to be very much completely geared towards street outreach. So I'm just, I'm wondering, and we need to acknowledge that we have read and will comply with all of the above, which is very much about street outreach and not rapid rehousing. So is that going to be changed at some point, or should we just consider that even though it's all about street outreach, that it actually means rapid rehousing? I would love some input on that.
Yeah, there's certainly information. I hear what you're saying, Denise, in the ITB. This is solely for rapid rehousing. The addendum would be to replace the language, but I think what you're saying is there's a page number discrepancy. Is that correct? Or is there additional street outreach information?
I'm saying that there is additional
Okay.
text that's completely oriented towards street outreach. For example, bidders will contact and engage the most vulnerable individuals and families living on the streets. That's number one. Number two, street outreach teams will build rapport with individuals, blah, blah, blah. It just goes on, and it's really all about street work.
Okay. That does need to be clarified, so that way you guys are truthfully signing something that you agree to and not just assuming. We certainly don't want that at all. So I will take this to our management team to make sure that the language of that is properly displayed, and if not, having that corrected addendum in addition to the one that was posted. I appreciate the information.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you, Denise.
And then I do see a question in the chat. Do we use the same application for either HAP or ESG? So yes, you use the same application.
Do we have any other questions from the group? I don't see anything else in the chat. I don't know if anybody else needs to take themselves off mute. If they have that option, they can. Okay.
Well, we do have our emails posted on here. So if there are any additional questions or if you have any concerns, feel free to email either me or Jamie. We also have the Riverside County Action Plan linked and the bid information as well, which is to our website directly. All right. Alrighty, well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming to this pre-bid conference for HAP Round 3 and ESG for rapid rehousing. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to us. I'll also be putting my email in the chat box.
And Carol, we will be saving this as a PDF and posting it to the website, to the Continuum of Care website.
Those are more measurements.
You're welcome.
Alrighty, thank you, everyone.
Have a good rest of your day. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I removed them from the meeting.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah,
Next
that's a
to
good
each
question.
person's
How do
name.
Do you
There's
want to
the
stop
3.
recording? Or should we?
stop recording?